Previously on The Walking Dead.
You guys are real, right?
Is that supposed to be a joke?
We're on a very important mission.
You only killed her so they think that you're a hero. I hated her!
Show me something. They're changing direction.
Come back.
Gabriel! Gabriel!
Hello, and welcome to an all-new episode of Talking About Walkers. I am one of your hosts, Kinte, all the way live from Los Angeles, California, and I'm joined by my two wonderful co-hosts, the one and only Jen and Olaf. And before we get into the episode, you're going to be hearing this a lot on Indie Radio on October 31st, Saturday, October 31st, Halloween night. We're going to have the first annual Kinte and Miyosha Halloween short film horror fest. We'll be showing Halloween, horror movies, and we're also going to have a costume contest, so you can actually win cash prizes as well. So you have to wear, a costume, and we'll judge it, and the winners we'll break down exactly what you get. But that is going to be on October 31st, Halloween night, and you'll get more and more details. If you want to submit a short film for the contest, you can do so at Indie Showcase Booking. That's INDY Showcase Booking at gmail.com. All right. With that said, Jen, you're going to be running the ship tonight, so it's all to you.
Well, I'm really excited to be here, and I have to say that the season finale for season 10, I know it's not sort of the entire season finale. We got some extra stuff coming, but for all intents and purposes, it's the season finale. And I will say that I was absolutely riveted this week. I loved it. It was amazing. I can't wait to talk about it with you guys. So I first just want to say that there's definitely going to be some spoilers in here. So if you haven't seen the episode and you don't want to know what's happening, this isn't the time to listen to it. You should listen to it at another time. The name of this episode was, what was the name of this episode? A Certain Doom. Wow, there certainly were a lot of amazing things that happened. I just want to start sort of by recapping a tiny bit of what happened at the end of the last episode, which was, I think, called The Tower. And I wanted to ask, I wanted to ask you, actually, Olaf, how you thought they did sort of the transition between what was happening when we saw everybody the last time and then what we have happening at the very beginning of this episode. How did you feel about that?
How it's like the way they made the transition. Yeah, I thought they did a good job getting, going from, the tower, and because you had the horde, then they were driving the horde towards towards the other one, driving the horde towards everything. I thought it was done pretty good. In other words, they did a good transition. What do you think?
Well, part of the reason that I wanted to just briefly bring that up, we didn't actually get a chance to podcast that episode, and I just wanted to get your opinion, you Kinte too, about how you think Beta it was either losing his mind or was he really talking to the walkers?
I think he was losing his mind. He wasn't really talking to him. Not at all. It was, yeah, he was losing his mind.
Okay. So
I tend to agree.
I was doing the wrong transition, but that was okay.
That was part of it too. They were Beta was rounding the horde up and basically kind of going on a bit of a meandering journey because they had set kind of a trap where they clearly were trying to say, you went in this direction and then Beta, through some kind of, ESP, I don't know, I think it was actually just he really tactically figured out that they couldn't possibly have gone where they thought that they were going to go, and then they doubled back and they did actually make it to the hospital. But the big thing to me was, as Beta was like descending into this obvious world of decay himself, having lost Alpha, I think was kind of hit the big pivot point. It certainly did seem like that was a big plot point, and I didn't want to miss it and get your reaction to what it was or what you thought it was.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, that he would, like I said, thinking that he could really talk to them. No, he was just losing his marbles.
But it did seem to work for him, right? Because
I think. Go ahead.
I was just going to say he really did seem to believe that they were not just talking to him, but giving him a kind of direction and maybe a sense of what it was that he had to do. And that was, I feel like that actually worked for him, despite the fact that, obviously he was having some madness descend.
Yeah. Well, and it just, I think more of it was where he thought they were directing him. Like, here, let's go this way. Let's go this way. It just so happened that that's the way they went. Like you said, they weren't really doing anything, or they were just meandering, and he just kind of directing them a little bit towards, what they were doing.
See, my feeling is that at this point, at the very beginning of this episode, Beta has gotten to the point where he is, quote unquote, channeling Alpha. He has been around Alpha, or had been around Alpha, long enough to know what she intrinsically would say or would do. And to me, it was kind of like he was hearing not just the walkers, but sort of her innate direction about what to do. And then he was attributing it to his being able to be a walker whisperer, right? And that's sort of where I think you pick everything up.
So it would kind of be like he was, like you say, it was so knew Alpha so well that, and what she would say and what she would do, like you said. In other words, so it gave him kind of a false sense that he was actually communicating with the walkers and stuff. So it gave him kind of a false reading.
Well, it worked for him. That's the bottom line. So they end up at the hospital. They're all standing outside. There's one of the things that was rushed the most, and in a way, I'm kind of glad they rushed it because it gave us time for some of the other stuff that happened. But there definitely was a rush when Daryl and everyone make it back to the hospital, and they sort of get everybody up to speed about what has happened, and hey, what are we going to do now? I'm going to go to Kinte on this because I know we talked about it just a tiny bit, but I got to say, I'm with you in this camp. At first, when I saw them with their plan and the whole let's wear the walker guts, I got a little nervous that we were going to just see the same old. But I was really surprised with what they did. How did you feel about that? You're on mute.
I'm sorry. We were having a private conversation, and we were, and I mentioned that I was like, they've done this like about 4 or 5 times at least that I can think of, so I was sitting there like they're rehashing, what they're doing, but actually I really enjoyed how it played out in the end, and when that girl gets it, near the end when she's almost. It was tragic watching her call out for Carol as they just, had a field day with her. And Carol, only thing she could do was keep on moving.
Right.
It was, it was gross and sad for her. No, so I really did enjoy that scene more than I thought I would when it started. But I got to bring up something that I really enjoyed, and I mentioned this to you too, is once they got free and they were drawing the walkers away, they were bumping music and they were playing one of my favorite groups, Talking Heads. They were playing "Burning Down the House," which I thought was so cool.
So fitting.
I love that song, and so anytime you throw in some talking, it's funny because now when I say it in the context of this show, I'm calling them Talking Deads, but
so they grab the chariot. They are playing the really super loud music. They're sort of acting in almost in counter purpose to the Whisperers, but they're using basically sort of Whisperer tricks, right? Where they're trying to get all of the horde to follow them in some way so that everybody is all together. And it was pretty genius until it stopped working. It was pretty amazing. In a lot of ways, I see this episode as being the episode where we sort of get everybody recap for us what your biggest strengths are so that we can see how everybody works in concert, because everybody's had their moment to shine. But in this episode, we get to see everybody sort of pull out the stops, and each person gets to sort of say, okay, this is what's worked for me in the past. Here's what we're going to do. This is what's worked for me in the past. Here's what we're going to do. And it worked really well. What did you guys think?
Yes.
No, I think so. We learned that the zombies are not that stupid because they love the Talking Heads. But didn't they look like they were kind of jamming to it as they were moving?
I did notice some of them. You could see the head was kind of bobbing a little bit. You could tell the ones in the front, they were kind of jamming as they was walking down through there.
So they were the Grateful Dead. That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah, they were. Oh, bad.
That's funny.
That's funny. Grateful Dead. There you go.
Yeah, I thought it was such a cool scene. There was something about this episode that a lot of episodes have lacked. There was a heart to it that I liked a lot, if that makes sense. I don't know what it was, or maybe I'm sentimental because of how bad this year's been, but I don't know. But it was a heart to this episode that I feel like had been lacking in the last several seasons. And I really connected to the characters more so in this episode than most of this season. And I genuinely liked everybody in this episode. Anyway, go ahead.
In this episode, I think kind of that it in past episodes, I mean, you kind of like, okay, yeah, they're going to walk a little bit, they're going to run into some walkers, then they're going to walk some more. This had more. It seemed like it had more of a purpose, more driven than past episodes. So it made it. You didn't have really in other episodes. You have some dry spells in it where it's like, okay, yeah, they're going to open the door and a bunch of walkers are going to come out at them. Okay, yeah. This one wasn't like that. It was it kept to me. It seemed like it had a good pace that kept you kind of actually engaged with it.
So I just want to remind everyone that this episode was many, many, many months in coming. And so they have had a lot of time in post-production to get the rhythm down, to get the pacing, like you said, down, to get the important stuff in and leave some of what I think really drags The Walking Dead down a lot out. And that is a lot of superfluous conversations that we just either don't need or really just don't make sense in the moment. And, I'm going to point to one that I think was amazingly cut and well done. And that is with Negan and Lydia. They have a couple of moments, but when Negan is going down the rope, right, there are moments in that I feel like, look, we've been waiting all season to know, is Negan going to stay or is he going to cut and run? And up until the very end, we don't even get a true sense of what is really happening. And that to me was sort of like one of the nice little surprises of what's really happening here. Negan gets actual redemption. Now, I don't know if that's going to last, but for the moment, Negan has redemption. And that is a pretty big point for The Walking Dead, where most characters don't get redemption, they get killed.
You
So,
know what? You just killed this episode for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know why?
Why?
I didn't even think about that they had 7 months to get it right. So that means it'll be great as long as they got 7 months to
If they could just take 7 months an episode.
It's like, so they had like one episode.
Like, of course they got it right. They had 7 months to get it right. Hilarious. See, I didn't even think about that. Thank you, Jen.
All right. So we see Lauren
great
comes
show.
back.
Thanks for great show. Thanks for coming, everybody. See you next week. Okay.
Like, yeah, we just need 7 months, and the episode will be.
We'll see you in 7 months.
7 months.
All right. So we get Lauren back, right? I'm sorry, Lauren. We get Maggie back.
Right.
Okay, so we get Maggie back. Maggie's got this surprise person with her who I have no idea who this person is. I mean, like, I could make like maybe some ideas from the comic about maybe who they might be, but and I shouldn't say might be. I should say like it would be an amalgamation of like a couple of different characters, because this character is like nothing I've really seen. And so that was kind of cool.
I like the character's mask, and I like the new character's weapons. I like the mask and the weapons.
Super Grim Reaper-ish, right?
Yes.
Yeah, really. I got that total vibe out of it. It was really awesome. Okay, so he shows up. Maggie shows up. We can see that there is. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to mention was you could feel that we didn't have going into whatever we're going to go into next. We didn't have the nagging antagonism of who's going to leave. It's like everybody was so happy to be alive. I didn't feel that sense of, oh my God, okay, now what's going to happen? There's got to be something political. It felt really good to sort of end off of that for once.
Right.
But one thing I wanted to call attention to was Gabriel has been basically pulling this whole thing together for so long. And honestly, I feel like this episode really gave Gabriel a chance to shine. Like, his plan came together like, I'm going to say on par with Rick's plans, because Rick's plans didn't always work. And Gabriel really got this right. I really felt good about that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, he did a good job of planning how to, get there. Instead of like, okay, you four people take off with all the stuff and go do this. Split it up into groups and like, okay, a couple of you go this way, a couple of you go this way, a couple of you go this way. Everybody meet at out there. Yeah, I'd say he did a good job of spearheading it.
They often put Father Gabriel in scenes with Negan, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And he's always chiding Negan on his past behavior, right?
Yep.
But I've been meaning to bring this up on the show. You can make an argument that Father Gabriel is worse than Negan. What he did to his congregation, that's pretty terrible. Like,
right.
Actually, Negan, he did a lot of crappy stuff, but Father Gabriel, he's like high on that asshole meter of what, like, do you even come back from that? Like what he did, like, is he locked his congregation out while they were getting eaten. And
that actually that dovetails exactly into what I was just saying, which was you oftentimes don't get redemption on The Walking Dead. You get dead. So if you do something that you can't come back from, that the show says, no, you can't come back from that because you're too broken, you don't get redemption out of that. You die. And so I think we can clearly see that the show said, well, wait a minute, maybe Gabriel's worthy of redemption. That was just my hot take. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, I just wanted to throw Father Gabriel under the bus just a little bit. Just a little bit. Because I'm like, because sometimes when I be watching those scenes with him and And Negan, I'd be like, the pot calling the kettle.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like,
Well,
I ain't
with
never gonna forget
Negan-
what you did, bruh.
Yeah, with Negan, I completely agree. Yeah.
You know, but obviously he's a better he was very scared when they first got him, and now he's fearless.
Yeah, he's a leader. He is definitely a leader.
So he's definitely not that person anymore. He would die for his beliefs. Before he wasn't like that. So, but one thing I think they don't talk about a lot on the show, which I would find very interesting, is they don't deal with his faith, I don't think, enough. Because I really believe that, I know people get kind of scared when you talk about faith, leave religion and politics out of my TV or whatever. But I feel like it's a very interesting story. Like, how do you hold on to your faith in these kind of circumstances? Like, we're not going through a zombie apocalypse, but we're going through, a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic. And so some people hold on to their faith. Some people, depart from their faith as well. And they kind of talked about faith, but very little. And I'm not talking about being on some kind of preachy type thing, but I think it's an interesting story pathway to go down much more deeper. And maybe they can use him to maybe go through another character, to really to do that.
Well, and if there's anything that The Walking Dead has sort of told us in as many words as they possibly can, it's that the world of The Walking Dead, the post-apocalypse of The Walking Dead, is about the search for humanity and how human beings can start over again, whether civilization is worth keeping. Should we, go back to the old ways where we've got charters between groups? Can we keep groups? I mean, there's been plenty of all of that. We've seen politics, we've seen all kinds of things. So I don't think that you're way off base. I think you're actually on the mark. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's a little bit scary for writers to walk down that path just right this very second. But I will say, and I'm by no means trying to change the subject, but I will say that it can be done successfully, because I just watched all of the series Raised by Wolves, and they do it amazingly successfully, and it is absolutely riveting. So The Walking Dead definitely has some latitude where they could bring that in. I completely agree.
Jen, your children said that they're going to be on the second season of that show.
Oh, of Raised by Wolves. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. And they will probably say that I was not a good mom. So I just be prepared, everybody.
I'm kidding, everybody. She's a great mom.
All right. So let's talk just a little bit about the quote unquote side quest with Eugene, Ezekiel, Yumiko, and Princess. So before I say anything, because I got some thoughts on this, I want to hear what you guys thought about some of the breakaway scenes that we see where first let's not get to the big reveal. Okay, let's not get to that first. Let's just get to what they are going through in the process in order to get there. Obviously, Princess wasn't able to obviously, Princess didn't come through with the carpool idea. Transportation being kind of key, I guess the word.
But she did come up with wheels.
Yes.
Would Joseph Campbell call that storyline the hero's journey?
I was gonna call it maybe Scooby-Doo and the gang, but okay. So anyway, so we get all of these we get the side quest thing happening, and I just wanted to know how you guys felt about did you think that they all made the right choice by going forward instead of going back?
Yeah. In other words, continue on. Yes, I think they did. In other words, it's like what happened when they finally got to their destination. Maybe that wasn't the best of things, but we don't know yet.
What do you think, Kinte?
No, I mean, they made the right decision for sure. Yeah. I'd be honest with you. I didn't like Princess at first because she was so over the top. And I know she's a comic book character, but it's hard not to like that person. She grew on me, and I don't know if you've ever seen any of the interviews of the actress. You know, that also gets you too when you see them being interviewed and you kind of like them. So I do like her character, and I'm interested where she's going. But you know, one thing I appreciate about the princess character is there's really the only flamboyant character, and I'm doing flamboyant with air quotes, is Negan, really, you know?
Right.
And there's no real heroes with a gregarious personality. You know, everybody's kind of dour, and there's no real crack ups in the group. You know what I'm saying? There's really no light, you know? And it makes sense because they've been living in that darkness for so long. So she's like a light, really, that they really, I think the show actually needs that if they do it in a way where, because those characters can be annoying, they can become Jar Jar Binks, you know. So we don't want to, we don't want that. But
but she like you say, she brings a, because it's a bad time. It's it's bad times, and it's all horrible and everything because the way you have to live and everything. But she's kind of like going, oh, look at that! Shiny object syndrome is what she has. You kind of need somebody like that to keep the light side, so it doesn't go completely dark all the time. So I think her character will add some flavor to it.
I was just going to say that part of what I have to say about this side quest, as silly as I think, they kind of made it, it speaks to the continual "we have hope" theme. It's such a hard and embedded trope in The Walking Dead, and it's a good trope because it really carries the plot forward so many times when the plot could simply die. So that sense of hope and a renewed sense of continual optimism, even when everything seems overwhelmingly hard and dark, and there is really no reason to think that there is success at the end of the journey, they still continue on because, hey, you know what? There might be something. And I'll tell you why I think this is so important character-wise. Eugene, who at the very beginning of his sort of introduction to us as in The Walking Dead was on this kind of journey that he knew was actually fated for nothingness, right? He knew that there was nothing, and yet he allowed people to carry false hope. He allowed people to exist in a world that was, hey, everything is going to be great as soon as we get here because I know things. I can do things. And in this moment, Eugene was able to say, hey, you know what? I don't have all the answers, but I still have this hope inside. Okay, let's carry on. And that felt really amazing to me, just as sort of a full circle journey for that character. And then, Ezekiel, Yumiko, and Princess being together with him, it felt like they really buoyed that principle, that kind of feeling, and I loved it. I have to say that it was one of the bright spots of this episode. So,
like when it's like, when you talk about that, and others as far as like Princess and Ezekiel and all, Eugene, how whatever he hit, to bend up his bike, he says, that's it, we're done. And they're all three of them like one. It was like Princess, like, I got a hammer, we can knock that back out. They're like gonna make this. Eugene's ready to give up. He says, we're not gonna make it on time. She's gonna leave, and I give. It's kind of like I give up. And then the other three wouldn't let him.
And Ezekiel saying to Eugene, basically, look, you never let me give up.
Right.
That was a big, I feel like that was a really big thing. So I liked the whole side quest piece. I thought that was great. All right. I definitely want to move to the little pieces inside of this episode, which I think are important, but we just sort of need to kind of power through. We know that Judith sort of came clean with Daryl about she had heard from Michonne. What's interesting about that is she didn't tell Michonne. She didn't tell Daryl that Michonne mentioned Rick. And I wanted to know what you guys thought about that, because I'm not really sure how to think about that.
Yeah, kind of like you. I'm like going, why didn't you tell that? It seems like that would be one of the first things you would say. Like when it's like I talked to Michonne and she mentioned Rick. No, but so I'm like you. I don't really know. Not really sure on that one.
Do you think that that Judith at this point is sort of moving in the direction of giving up hope? And I don't mean that in sort of like the literal terrible way, but just look, there's just been too many things that have happened that she cannot rely on. And maybe Michonne is still there, and maybe, like she was saying, because people leave and people, disappear, and you could see she was really struggling. It was great to see Daryl be so honest with Judith about, hey, I'm not going to, basically in a nutshell, I'm not going to make you promises I can't keep, but hey, I'm here. And it was odd, because to me, it feels like they sort of rushed through that whole piece, but I think it was important. I think it was important for us to realize that, no, Rick is not ever coming back. And Judith didn't mention him in a sort of shout out almost to the audience. No, he's not coming back. I don't know. It just seemed odd to me. But I'm really glad that she actually mentioned Michonne, because that feels like, yeah, okay, maybe she's not given up hope completely. That was sort of my takeaway of that. What did you guys think? Anything?
Yeah, not really.
No, you didn't think anything of it? Okay. What did you think, Kinte?
Sorry about that. I don't know. I don't love the Judith character.
No.
And I don't know. I'm not a fan of the precocious kid. And I get it. We know how she got here. And all of that kind of stuff. And it's kind of paying it forward to, that storyline. But, I don't know, man. I mean, why did she make the decision not to say anything? You got me. I have no idea why. Maybe she feels like everybody else got their secrets, so I'm going to have mine. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. I don't recall being told not to say nothing, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So it's interesting.
Or is it possible that she didn't really mention anything about Rick because that's not she may never see him again? Or
well, that's what I said.
I don't know.
I think she's given up hope on him.
Yeah.
I think that was a subtle cue.
Really. She hasn't known, like, he left when she was a baby, right? Or was she? I can't remember.
No, she wasn't a baby. But I think she recognizes in a way that he's gone in a way that Michonne is not gone, right? Michonne's saying, hey, maybe I figured out where Rick is, or, whatever that went down. But that isn't the same as I talked to Rick. She talked to Michonne. She knows Michonne is alive. And I think it's better to have the fantasy that, hey, there's hope for somebody to be alive when you've actually, talked to them and, hey, everything could be okay, than there is knowing that somebody's really dead and you've already mourned for them. I just think it's a different thing. Okay, so before because I've got two more things I want to go through. One thing is, so how'd you guys feel about the last piece? Okay, there's two parts to this. One is the walkers off the cliff. See ya. Everybody's just down the cliff. Interesting
Wait, can
interesting
I
idea.
say something about that real quick before you go to the
Yeah.
next? It was so nice of Greg Nicotero to give a shout out to The Happening.
Yeah. here's my M Night.
Scene from The Happening when they're just walking off the building.
Uh-huh.
It was hilarious. It was a beautiful sight. Didn't make sense that they walked past though. Carol and girl Lydia.
Well, but they were both wearing, it's like the Walker goo on them. So, but it didn't. Yeah, it didn't really make sense that those two are all hunkered down and not moving. And
So I think the idea though was it was not a stampede, but it was horde mentality. It was lemming mentality where you're basically following the leader. And so in a way, it kind of does make sense, but yeah, it's got some plot holes. Okay, so that leads us into reconciliation.
Beautiful visual.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Reconciliation with
but one thing though.
Yeah.
You just tampered with the water supply. Put all those walkers in the water.
You know what? My kid said that. My kid was like, I hope they're not going to be drinking from that water anytime soon.
Oh my God. It's like a walker tea bag.
Be drinking. You have to be going up river to get the water instead of down river.
Walker water.
So the next piece that is exactly along with that is the reconciliation between Lydia and Carol, which feels a little bit forced, but nicely closed out. I felt like that needed to close out because I was actually kind of tired of both of them in that capacity. It was driving me crazy. So I'm glad that happened. Did you guys think that was good, or what did you think about it?
Yeah, I thought it was, a good ending to their disputes. So it was like, Carol was going to just walk off, and Lydia was going to walk off, and she said, "I can do this. I can do this. I'm going to do it." And they were both going to make the sacrifice, and then they both kind of came together and like going, "We don't really have to do this." So
right.
it was a nice closure.
We should have went off that cliff like Thelma and Louise.
Just hand in hand and right over the edge.
Right.
Well, that would have really interfered with the whole Daryl and Carol thing that we know is coming next. So maybe we should.
No, because her walker body could be in that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. There you go. Daryl could just walk Carol around, kind of like Michonne used to have, her walkers. That could be great.
Yeah.
Okay, so the big
chop
reveal,
off half her arms and take her bottom jaw out.
There you go. Carol talks too much anyway, so sure. Go with that. Okay, so the big reveal was our side quest heroes finding out when they get to the train yard that first they think nobody's there, and then there's actual lights and people in big hazmat suits with guns, and oh my God, who can these people possibly be?
I thought it turned into a Star Wars episode. A bunch of stormtroopers came in, but in all the white,
I will also mention that my kid said something very similar, which was, "Oh, look, it is Star Wars meets The Walking Dead." Yes, very interesting outfit choices. But okay, so question, and I don't know how many people have read the comics, so I don't know, what kind of theories there might be out there, but who do you think these people are, and do you think they are on the side of good? And why did they wait so long to say who they were and where they... I mean, there's clearly live people there, and they waited all that time to jump out. I was a little confused by that. What'd you guys think?
It was like, who are you?
More 70s music. Let's get more 70s music.
The reason they waited so long to come and say, "Halt, we got you," is they were behind the railroad cars. They were drawing straws to see who was going to go out first. They were just see which one of them was going to walk out first and go, "Freeze!" And they all drew the short straw and said, "Okay, well, we all got to go out now. Let's go." Got them.
I thought they were
I have
playing
no
Pokemon.
idea why they waited.
I think they were playing Pokemon Go, and they didn't want to stop, and they were like, "Okay, let's go deal with these guys." So,
Listen, quite honestly,
He's like,
this group, the group that both in Alexandria and Hilltop and the Kingdom and everybody, they have all done this to other groups that they have come across in maybe not quite as dramatic a fashion, but definitely just like that, where surround you, take you off guard, take all your weapons, who are you, ask you 50 questions. We don't know if you're safe. Maybe you're going to be a bad guy. I mean, like, it's weird to see the people who we think are the main protagonists to be treated the way that they treat everybody else. But honestly, it doesn't seem like a big surprise. The big surprise to me was these people were clean.
I think if
they were so clean.
yeah, they were very clean.
Mm-hmm.
They looked like they were just polished.
And they had some weapons. I mean, they had some not little weapons. They had some major weapons. So something's going on. I don't know exactly what, but what do you think this sets up? How do you think this will carry over? Do you think we're in for something where the groups are going to divide and then find something on their own? Or do you think it's going to end up being the groups are going to somehow merge because of what's happening with Eugene and Yumiko and Ezekiel and Princess?
I think they're going to wind up merging. And
yeah, I kind of almost think
I think they're going to. It's kind of just the way it's kind of going is. I think it's going to move wherever the stormtroopers take Eugene and all them. It may wind up being somewhere where the rest of them are at.
The reason that I asked that question is because I really was curious about how you guys felt for what we know is sort of spin-off material territory, where it seems like they're trying to wind down. Well, I shouldn't say it seems like. They are trying to wind down the main plot. We've got one more season, and then that's going to be it. So we clearly can see that they're going to be moving in some interesting directions, and we've got some spin-offs that are already happening, and then we know that there are some other things sort of planned, and I was just, trying to feel it out for where you think the story might go from here.
Right. Yeah, I think that's where that's where it's leading up to, is like I said, it's going to wind up, everybody's going to wind up in the same place.
Oh, we all know how it's going to end.
Yeah?
Yeah, Brandon's going to end up on the Iron Throne.
Oh, there we go. I feel like that's
whoa! Spoiler alert!
Par for the course.
Spoiler alert!
Before I go and ask you guys, if there's any sort of standout moments for you, I just wanted to mention one standout moment for me, and that was when Negan killed Beta. I don't know why that made me so happy. No, happy is maybe the wrong word. Satisfied. But there was some kind of extreme satisfaction for me, even though I feel like it was over way too fast. I still absolutely loved the idea that it was Negan that really brought him down. I just felt like it was right.
Well,
I hate it. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm so sick of watching Ryan Hirsch die. I mean, spoiler alert. But in Sons of Anarchy, he dies. Mm-hmm. I know I just ruined it for somebody. And then we got to see him die in this. It's like, Ryan Hurst, can you live in a show?
Hey, listen, at least you're not a Sean Bean fan.
Right.
Well, now
that guy died. He probably would die in his wedding video. But the fight was so weak though. Like he was too good of a character to go so weak. I wanted to be like a knockdown, drag out. I thought Daryl was the one that.
Daryl was the one that ended him. I mean,
right.
Negan, was whispered. What was it like? It's like
I think he saved. Didn't he say?
He's like, "Hey, you bastard," or something.
I meant to say it was Daryl and and group. But I meant to say Daryl, and I said
Yeah.
Negan, and I'm so sorry. I didn't actually mean to say it.
Well,
That was
Negan, I
my
think Negan actually didn't Negan get kind of like a first shot in at him. I mean, I think he like hit him. I think he stabbed him.
I think
And then-
he was about to, but then Daryl got him by using the knives into his
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah,
Nah,
and
it should have been more of a fight. That guy, they built him up, and he just kind of just goes out whimpering. Like the fight between him and Daryl, what was it, last season? I can't remember, or it might have been this season. That was way more epic than his death fight.
Yeah.
So although I'm gonna say something, and maybe it's not gonna be popular, but I feel like the whole fight was really well summarized when Negan said, "Do you know who that a-hole was?"
Yeah,
And Daryl said nobody. And okay, so I feel like that's why it wasn't more of an epic fight. Not because Beta wasn't actually badass, but because they really went out of their way to make sure that we knew that our protagonists were way stronger than anything that the Whisperers could throw at them. That's what I think.
well, you know the story behind that, right?
Tell us, Kinte.
Okay, so you know how they have actors make up their backstory, right?
Yes.
So Ryan Hurst said in an interview that in his mind he was someone famous back in the regular world. So that's what he made it up. So when they did that, that was kind of a nod to his story, his backstory. That's why he never wanted to take his mask off, because he didn't want people to realize, oh, that's that famous guy.
Right.
So that when that scene happened, it was such a great callback to that. And I only know that from an interview.
That was his shout out.
Yeah, they never said it on the show. So
Right.
So they were like, he was like, do you know that guy?
well,
That
he was like wasn't he like a country singer or something like that? That's where he came from. He was some sort of a singer,
something like that.
But I think honestly, I think it even though you're right, it does realistically seem like there should have been way more to it with the Beta, with killing Beta. It also feels like poetic justice that he went down so fast and was basically just devoured by the very horde that he believed was sort of in his grasp. I don't know why, but
you know what it reminds me of is
what's that?
sometimes I think writers outthink themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I'm gonna do it like this, and it's gonna be no, give us what we want. People, I think most people wanted to see them go like really throw down, and I think it kind of likens back to Heroes, the end of that Siler versus Peter Petrelli. People are like, what the hell are you talking about? Google it. But so it's like, no, we want to see, I mean, and plus he's not gonna be on the show no more. So let's see. But anyway, he was a great character. Ryan Hurst, I'm gonna miss him on the show. I kind of went, oh no, when he died, because I like Ryan Hurst, the actor, and I liked his character. So,
yeah, he played a really good bad guy. I mean, in terms of all the bad guys that The Walking Dead has had, the Whisperers have definitely been among my very favorites, with Alpha and Beta being just right up there as wow. And they did it in a way that didn't annoy me. So, because I was even getting tired of Negan toward the end as, Mr. Big Bad. As much as I still love him, but the Alpha and Beta got through all of their seasons without ever once managing to make me feel like, oh my God, not these guys again. Every time they were on screen, it was the right time. Every time they said something, it felt like, yeah, except for the one sex scene with Alpha and Negan. I'll never forgive The Walking Dead for that. But okay. Anyway, moving on. So the whole point for me to say that very last piece was, what I wanted to find out from you guys was whether there were any standout moments in this episode that you felt like, hey, I'm never going to forget it for this.
Yeah, we lost Olaf, but
oh no.
I mean, we pretty much went through those scenes. Of course, I'm so sorry, the deaf girl.
Oh, now my mind
The
is
deaf
blank.
girl.
Yes, I know you're talking about.
Her, and then it was like a cliffhanger who she ran into. So that's interesting. I wanted to throw that, make sure we added that in.
Oh, you mean Connie, right?
Connie.
Yes, Connie. Okay.
And also the stormtroopers. The sad death of Beta, but
And
my
Virgil.
favorite,
and we saw Virgil.
My Virgil, right? My favorite scene, you know what it is.
Tell me.
Luring the walkers away with burning down the house. Best scene. One of my favorite scenes in a Walking Dead episode. Perfect.
I think you might actually, I thought for a second, that what they were going to do when I heard them play that music was have the walkers be sort of already covered with something, tree sap, I don't know, whatever. I thought they were going to light them on fire. I really thought that that's what was going to happen.
Oh, and the burning down the house? Hilarious.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was supposed to be like some kind of little subliminal shout out. Kind of glad it wasn't, because I feel like that would have been a big giant mess. I'm glad they ended it the way that they did.
Right.
So I overall I was really happy with the season finale here. I was a little blown away by some of the things that they were able to neatly sew up, and I don't really feel like we have a huge cliffhanger, except obviously Connie and Virgil and what happened with Eugene, Ezekiel, Yumiko, and Princess. That's going to be big. But it feels like a good place to start something new. So I was pretty excited about it. I don't know, and I didn't look it up, but I heard that the ratings for this was actually pretty good.
Let's take a look.
I'm trying to remember who said that. Somebody said that, and they thought that by Walking Dead standards it was down, but overall standards it's still amazing how good it really is.
People don't realize that. They don't realize that they had to go really far down to be.
So we don't have a total viewers according to Wikipedia. We've got a viewers in million that come in sort of as people watch without DVR or without some of the other stuff. And what they have there is 2.73 million, which is still amazing. I'm struggling to think of any other show right now that captures that much of the media share. Not much. There's not very much out there that does it. So that's pretty good. Netflix is looking at this going, man, if only.
Yeah. So
still not too bad. By the time that they're done, they will probably end up around 5 million viewers altogether, which is that's not too bad. I think they've done a pretty good job. So
welcome back.
It's like silly internet. I got moon spotted or something. So I'm back.
So Olaf, we were just talking about whether there was any standout moments in the season. I'm sorry, in the episode to the season finale that you wanted to say, "Hey, I thought this was fantastic."
Well, I don't know about fantastic, but it's kind of like the elephant in the room. Okay, Maggie has come back now, and Maggie doesn't know that Negan is not in the jail anymore. So it's like kind of like, that makes you kind of go, what's she gonna say when she comes around the corner and Negan's standing there and saying, "Hey," what do you all think?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, right? I mean, lest we all forget which I feel like some people have already forgotten, why Maggie shouldn't be a Negan fan. It's definitely going to be a big thing. And also, this is one of the reasons that I was saying it was so important for us to understand that Negan had some redemptive arc, because now he's got sort of a posse of people behind him to say, no, he's actually a good guy. And Maggie would quickly be drowned out if she tried to do something to hurt him. But that doesn't mean anything. I mean, we don't know where this is going to go. So interesting,
Right.
very interesting.
So that was my, what's like the one moment is there one moment that was like, what's she gonna say when she sees Negan?
Good moment, actually. And
she won't have that look on her face.
No, definitely not.
Also, I just wanted to point out that this particular episode was directed by Greg Nicotero, and I find that the episodes that Greg Nicotero directs directly tend to be really good.
Yeah, he hogs all the good episodes for himself.
Yeah, he goes through the episode list. He's like, I'll take this one and this one and this one. Yeah.
And I'll take this one here because I have 7 months to do it, so I will do that.
Oh man, if they could have known. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. All right, so we know that they're in production for something brand new. We know that there's a spin-off episodes. So there are spin-off episodes. We know there are also some episodes that will give us a little bit more depth that are going to be released. That I guess give us a bit more insight into what is happening currently. So sort of as a warm-up into the next season, it'll be interesting to see what happens. So this was fun. I had a really good time. Thanks, everybody. Kinte, how can everybody find you on everything? And tell us one more time about the Halloween special.
Sure. Thank you for mentioning that. Let me put it up on the screen. We have the Kinte and Miosha Halloween Short Film Horror Fest, which is it will be live on Saturday, October 31st, 2020, Halloween night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern. You'll be able to catch it like on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, all those good things. We're going to be showing short films that were submitted to us of the horror variety. And we're going to also have a costume contest. So if you're in the audience and you're dressed up and you come on camera and show us what you're wearing, we will have judges and we'll decide who wins a cash prize. So, you want to be dressed up. Now, obviously, I'll be dressed up. I can't win, or Miosha, or Jen, unfortunately.
Well, I'm just gonna wear my regular clothes and go as a tired mom. So we're all good. We're all good.
I'm going to take off my makeup and go as I really am instead of what you all see.
Olaf, don't scare us too much, okay? Because that wouldn't. Yeah, we don't want to scare.
I'm only allowed to take my makeup off on Halloween. That's the only time I can take it off because it's, without makeup, it's just too scary to look at me.
And Kinte, can I ask a question?
Sure.
If you have a short film and you want to get it in front of you, where would you send that?
Great question. Thank you for saying that. It's at Indie Showcase Booking, INDY Showcase Booking at gmail.com. Films can't be over 20 minutes long. So, so it needs to be 20 and lower. So,
short film being important. Short.
19 and some change.
Yeah. So, Indie Showcase Booking.
Great.
And you can get me at Kinte F on Twitter, Kinte Ferguson on Instagram, and of course, the website is indyradio.org, INDY radio.org.
And Olaf, how can we catch you?
Well, you can follow me on Facebook at Olaf Barbosa, but as I always say, don't follow too close because I do get nervous and I do have an itchy trigger finger.
All right, and you can find me on Twitter at followingbliss1, and you can head over to my website, moviesandmeals.com, where I've got lots of great Halloween stuff going up. There's tons of stuff already there, but there's lots of stuff going up over the next couple of days too. Got a busy kitchen, so join us for that. And this was really fun. Thank you guys. I had a wonderful time.
And I want to say something, and I'm not going to get into too much specifics before we go. I know we've all been going through a tough time recently, and with COVID and whatnot. But someone near and dear to us, who we do a program with, Cinema de Fromage, is going through a tough time, and he knows who he is. And I'm not going to go into what he's going through, but just hang in there, man. I know it's tough, and we're all praying for you.
Yeah.
Definitely, we are here for
definitely.
you.
Yes.
Yep, we definitely are.
All right. So with all that said, I guess we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening.